Hi, everybody. This is Katie Peplin. For those of you I haven't met, I am the founder of Thrive PhD. I also run a coaching business at Katie Peplin Coaching. I'm the one who has built on many successful Academic Writing Month events to sort of put my own spin on it this year. So I am going to try and keep this webinar brief because we're all busy, but I do have a couple of important things, and mostly I want to talk about how best to set goals. Academic Writing Month, or AcWriMo, which I will never get used to saying out loud, is a high pressure time, or it can be, but I want to today give you a framework for thinking about how to set goals for this month that take into account the reality of your life and not the fantasy of your life that you might wish you were having, or your advisor wishes you were having, or your anxiety wishes you were having, the real life that you live here on this planet Earth. So please feel free to throw anything up in the chat. I do have that up in my window. But yeah, this is AcWriMo 2018. I just watched Easy A, so I'm very interested in the whole handmade sign aesthetic. So there are 4 things that are a part of this Academic Writing Month experience that I wanted to draw your attention to. All of these things are linked in the introductory email that you've gotten, and I will always put the links in every email that we send. So the first one, to let you know, is that there is a goal sheet for you to declare your goals this month, and importantly to say how you're going to measure them and what you're going to do for yourself when they're done. It's been really fun to read everybody's different goals and all of their different rewards, which are ranging from small things to really big things. So whatever you feel like is awesome. The second is that there is a Slack group just for Academic Writing Month people. It's already busy in there. The link to join that is open. Slack can be a little bit confusing if you've never used it before. There's something in the resource channel about how to best use it, but people are really friendly in there already. So don't worry too much if you're not quite getting the hang of it. The third part of Academic Writing Month are webinars, just like this one. And if you're joining us, then obviously you figured that part out. And then the fourth is that there are going to be emails every Monday with resources. So this first Monday coming up will be all about how to get your words to flow when they're stuck. But we have really great topics for the rest of Mondays too. So I'm really excited. So again, these are the 4 main parts of Academic Writing Month. Knowing me, I'll probably invent new things to put in throughout the rest of the month, but these are the 4 tenets that you'll hear us talk about. So there's 2 options when you're trying to decide what to do for Academic Writing Month. The first one is you can go big. You can pick something really big. So originally, Academic Writing Month was based on the premise of National Novel Writing Month, which is that you try and write a novel in a month, which is big. It's a big goal. So I have seen versions of Academic Writing Month that try to get an article done in a month, try to get a dissertation chapter done in a month, try and get a book manuscript done in a month. So some people really are motivated by big goals. They like big goals that are hard to achieve, that they really have to work for. And that sense of huge future accomplishment is a perfect motivation for them. So if you are a big goal, big dream type of person, go you. You're in the spirit of what Academic Writing Month was sort of designed to be in the beginning, and you're writing along with hundreds and thousands of people this month who are trying to get big goals done. However, if you're a little bit more like me, you might want to set a big goal, but you have a life that's set up to make big goals hard. So I also would like to present this second model for Academic Writing Month, which is building up a month that is full of tiny little small things. So I am really big in the idea of small and sustainable goals, and that's something that you'll hear me come back to over the course of this month. But I would like to draw your attention to the fact that both of these fill up the page. You can do one big thing, or you can do lots of little things. But if you're doing the kind of little thing done multiple times model, what's great about this is, say that you miss one. Say you have a Monday, you have a migraine, you can't get there. The page is still pretty full. You've still accomplished quite a bit of things, even though you've missed 1 or missed 2. So if the idea of setting a huge goal is really overwhelming, I just can't imagine writing a whole article in a month, I would humbly invite you to consider setting a sequence of tiny or small goals that might feel insignificant when you look at them on face value. What could I possibly get done writing for 25 minutes a day? But I have found, and I've seen many of my clients and many of my friends, and there are many books that are written about how doing small things repeatedly and in a sustainable way is a really flexible, uh, adjustable plan for moving forward, especially if your life is one that you can't always predict. And let's face it, lots of academics can't predict what their life is going to look like next week or next month or, heaven forbid, next semester. Your teaching changes, your funding changes, your life might change. You might have a baby, might be a caretaker, you might be a parent, you might have a chronic illness, you might have all sorts of things that make it really hard for you to control your schedule to the point that you might need to get something big accomplished. And so what I would say is that there is no difference really in the amount of achievement, the level of self-satisfaction in doing many small things or one big thing. In fact, many small things might just be what you need to fit into your life at this particular moment. So everything that I'm doing this month is built on the idea that Academic Writing Month, if it's going to be a successful thing, should not only get you a certain amount of distance over the course of this month, get you farther in November than you've been before, but also show you ways that you can build in some of these practices to make them sustainable, and to make it something that you can continue doing in December or in February of next year or all the way through to next November. So while, yes, this is a special month that we're setting aside to do something different, it might require schedule changes, it might require all sorts of things to make the Academic Writing Month goal happen. I would invite all of you to keep a part of your brain chewing on, what of these things can I take out and make them part of my daily routine? What of these things can I do every week to move me forward so that I can keep some of this momentum from this special set aside month going on the months that might not be so special? So in order to do something in a sustainable way, you have to, and this is the hardest thing I'm going to ask you to do today, get really realistic about the conditions of your life at this moment, in this month, and then in moving forward. So anybody who's ever crammed for a test or crammed for exams or really been writing under a deadline knows that you can get sustainable things done, or you can get amazing things done, in short amounts of time if you sacrifice everything that makes your schedule normal. If you put aside the daycare pickups and the making dinner and the feeding yourself and the working out and just focus 100% on writing or on studying. However, it's just not a reality that most of us can maintain most days of most months of most years. It's something that you can do once in a while if the situation needs it, but it's not something that you can keep going forever. But if you're anything like me, you get finished, you meet the deadline, you get something turned in after one of those incredible bursts of productivity, and then you assume that that's the new bar. So I did this in order to get ready for exams. I have to keep going in that particular pace because I know I can do it, and I need to keep doing it in order to keep moving forward. And that is just not A, a way to be kind to yourself, or B, a realistic way to think about the way that your life is going to work with your work and your life moving forward in a sustainable way. So lots of us have a fantasy of how our professional lives will work. We will have offices that are quiet with doors that shut and colleagues that only bother us during meetings and emails that are only the important ones and they're written kindly, and we'll always have help around the house to get our laundry done and to make sure that groceries appear in the fridge. Maybe your fantasy is that you will always be able to get up and write from 5 until 7 a.m. or that every day you're going to be able to dedicate 4 hours to moving your writing and research forward. And maybe that is your reality. So I know that even in my most open scheduled semesters, when I had the most support for my writing, no matter what I did, I couldn't write more than 4 hours a day, and I couldn't really write more than 2 hours in a block. So my fantasy was putting in 8 hours of sustained, important intellectual work. The reality was that I could do 4 hours most days in 2 different blocks with a lot of other things mixed in. So that's not to say that everyone's fantasy is everyone's day is a fantasy or everybody's day is a reality. So if you are on fellowship and you are only in charge of your household and think you have a ton of support, you might be able to get 4 or 5 hours of your research done every single day. That's great. However, if you're in a reality where you only have 2 hours every day, and you're trying to make 8 happen, that's setting yourself up for an extreme amount of frustration. So today, I would love for you to take a look at your schedule and say, what of the things that I'm doing right now do I need to keep doing no matter what? And be really realistic about all of the things that we don't always keep on that list. So how much of your week do you need to spend exercising? How much of your week do you need to spend sleeping? How much needs to go to food prep? How much needs to go to teaching? How much needs to go to transit between all of these different activities? So get really realistic about how much time you have available that you can reallocate or allocate permanently for this month. Setting a reasonable goal, and by that I mean not saying that you have 8 hours when in reality you have 2, and you might only have 25 minutes. You might only have 15 minutes, but 15 minutes done every day or every weekday is still going to move you way farther than trying to set up for 2 hours every day, doing it twice at great sacrifice, and then feeling so burned out or so tired that you can't keep it up all month. So it might feel frustrating to start small in the beginning. It might feel like you're not doing anything special by setting aside 1 POM for this project or only doing 150 words, 200 words. But I would encourage you to look at the difference between 150 words done every day of this month versus trying to aim for 2,000 words every day, only hitting it once or twice because it's not realistic with the conditions of your life, and then spending this month feeling frustrated that you set a goal and you couldn't reach it. So I now have 3 strategies for how your goals could look for this academic writing month. So we already alluded to briefly, it might be that your goal is very project-based, that you want to get a project done or a project move forward, and that is great. These are other models of goals that you might fit your life better, and that's not to say that you can't have concurrent goals or a project-based goal and then a way you're going to reach it. But these are 3 strategies that I found to be really effective, especially for people who have a lot going on in their life, as almost all academics do. So the first one is pick one thing and then be flexible about the rest. So this is a great strategy for people whose schedules are unpredictable. Maybe you have a job that's really demanding. Maybe you're a caretaker and there are humans that depend on you, and you know that you're just not going to be able to set aside the same 2 hours in the same spot every day to get your writing done. I would encourage you to pick one thing. So pick a time-based goal. I want to do 2 POMs every day. Or a POM is a 25-minute section, and I refer to them a lot because I think they're really powerful. I can throw some links up in the description of this video if it's something that you're not familiar with. But sorry, that was a tangent. So you might say, I want to spend 50 minutes total on my writing every day. Or I want to write 200 words every day. Or I want to commit to always being at my desk before 7. Or maybe you say, I always want to work on my project every day. I want to touch it every day. So you pick the one thing that's a non-negotiable, and then everything else switches. So if your goal is that you want to be at your desk every day at 7 o'clock, you might then say, okay, my goal is to get here. And if I get here, that's a win, but I'm going to relax a little bit about what I do once I get there. So if I land at my desk and it's 7 a.m. and I just don't feel like I can dive into post-structural film theory right now, I'm going to give myself a break and start working on some emails, or maybe I'll switch to free writing. But if being started early is your habit, Pick that one thing and then be flexible about the way that it sort of manifests itself. Same thing for a time-based goal. So if you really want to write 2 hours on your project every day, some days you might get that in a 2-hour uninterrupted block in a beautiful coffee shop. Some days you might get that in 5-minute bursts in between student meetings in office hours, or in the parking lot as you're waiting to pick somebody up from school, or in the waiting room of your therapist's office. It might be really scattered, but if your goal is to get those 2 hours, then maybe you just don't care about where they happen or when they happen. You just care that you get to them. So I've found that having the one principle that's not flexible and then giving yourself a break on everything else can help give you the structure that a goal challenge like this is so good at providing, but also give you a little bit of wiggle room for the kind of unexpected life things that happen to all of us all of the time. So that's one, the pick one and be flexible about the rest. Strategy 2 for setting your goals is maybe this is your lightning bolt moment. So anyone who has ever set a New Year's resolution or had a revelation knows what this feels like. So Gretchen Rubin is a person who's written several books about habit building, and she says that habit building, which is a lot of what Academic Writing Month can help you do, can happen in 2 forms. That either it's sort of an intermittent start as you get adjusted to a new habit and how it fits into your life, or you just get hit by a lightning bolt. And then all of a sudden, one day, you don't smoke anymore, or you don't eat dairy anymore, or all of a sudden, you love to walk every day. Something hits you. Sometimes it's planned. Sometimes it's precipitated by an event. Sometimes it's a new start that you force. But you just say, okay, that's it. I'm never going back. So if you tend to be a person that loves black and white thinking, or there are just rules, and it's important to you to say, I am going to write for 4 poems no matter what. And that's just the way I'm going to think about it. That today is the first day of this new month, and I'm going to be really strict with myself and just say, this is the lightning bolt where everything changes. And I'm going to forget what happened behind me. I'm not going to shame myself for all of the reasons that I didn't start this earlier. I'm just going to say today is a new leaf. So if you're a person who really does well with New Year's resolutions, with goal setting, in sort of time-based ways, this can be a great strategy for you. It doesn't work for everybody, which is why I put it in with other things, but it can be really powerful, as the name might suggest, a strike of lightning to sort of move you forward. So that is strategy 2, lightning bolt. Excuse me one second. Okay. Strategy 3, and the third one that I'm going to present, is maybe your goal this month is you're going to commit to the idea of recommitting. So I have been using Pomodoros for almost a decade, and I still some days cannot manage to do 25 minutes of focused work without checking Twitter or without doodling in a notebook, or without getting up or getting distracted or ordering a new coffee mug on Instagram. I am a distracted person. And so in the beginning, when I started trying to train myself into more focused bursts of writing, I used to get really frustrated that it was just 25 minutes and what was wrong with me that I couldn't do it. And a therapist gently suggested, and she was right, that instead of viewing these work sessions or goals that I'm setting as contracts that I'm making, that if I don't do it, then I'm breaking it with myself and that I deserve to be disappointed, that maybe it's just that every time I start another Pomodoro section, it's another chance to recommit to my goal. It's another chance to say, you know what? I wasn't as focused as I could have been. I'm going to try again. So it's one of the reasons why I love time-based goals, actually, is because if you set the timer for 25 minutes, you might need to gently say to yourself 25 times during that 25 minutes, let's focus back on the writing. Let's come back to the writing. Please don't look at Twitter right now. Let's come back to the writing. But the more that you can get used to the idea that even if a distraction happens, you can come back and try again, or that even if there is a bad hour or your morning gets off on the wrong foot, or even if it's been a rough week, or even if you've forgotten something and you've slipped off and you haven't worked on your AcWriMo goals for 2 weeks, that you can always say, let's start again. So maybe it's that your goal this month is to just say, I'm going to practice letting myself start again without feeling the shame and guilt spiral about it. I'm just going to recommit every time I need to wanting to move these goals forward, because these goals are important to me and life happens. I can't always control the fact that I get distracted. I can control the fact that I'm coming back to work as many times as it needs to. So this is my favorite strategy because it builds resilience. It builds trust in yourself that you can come back from an unfocused morning or from a bad set of criticism or from a bad peer review and say, you know what, that was a blip in the road, but I'm just going to try again. I'm going to try again. And the more that you try, the greater the chances that you're going to get back into that rhythm and stay sustained in the work that you want to do. But if you're working in the idea that this is your perfect set of AcWri goals, and if it doesn't happen in this exact way this week or even on November 1st, then everything is lost and you'll never get caught up. Then you've wasted 29 days that you could have still moved forward in an imperfect way. And even if you only accomplish 60% of what you want to do in any given day, 60% of that to-do list done consistently is still going to get you way farther than slamming to get through 100% and then crashing and feeling tired or feeling like your list is always growing and you can never catch up. So no matter what your goals are, I would love for you to think about this month as a chance to practice recommitting, no matter what the distractions are, and keeping the real goal, which is to build something sustainable in mind. Okay, so those are 3 strategies for how you can think about what kind of goal you want to set. And now I have 4 tips for how to make the most of this month and whatever the framework of your goals are. So number 1, and one that I don't think it's talked about enough in academic and para-academic circles, is the fact that you should communicate to the people in your life that this is something that's happening for you. So I am a post-academic that works with academics and lives in a house with my husband who is not an academic at all. And so it used to be so frustrating to me that he didn't just know that this was academic writing month and that I needed to try and get 10,000 words a day done, or that he didn't just understand that I had this journal deadline and that's why I didn't unload the dishwasher for 3 days because this journal article was due. And so I have found that it's really helpful to communicate with the people that are going to be most directly affected by any changes in your schedule or your work habit and say, hey, this is a thing that I'm doing and it's important to me. Here's why it's important to me. Here are 2 or 3 concrete ways that you can support me as I go through this. Now, trust me, this is so uncomfortable for me. I hate asking for help. It's ironic that I'm a coach. But it's really helpful to say, you know what, this is this month. I'm really going to try and change some habits and get a ton of progress done on this journal article. It could really help me if you and I sit down on Sunday and plan out our meals for the week. Or maybe you say to your advisor, hi, I'm doing academic writing month. I would really love your support. Could you commit to reading this draft at the end of the month? Because I would love for your feedback once I have it produced. Or maybe you say to a group of friends in a writing group, hey, you know, guys, I'm really trying to make an effort this month to start a daily writing practice. Do you mind if I text you every day? Just to say that this is me and I did it. I would love for you to cheer me on as I do it, or maybe even join me. So the Slack room that we've made can be a great place to sort of communicate and get that support too, but this will be more successful, I can almost guarantee, if you integrate it into your life and let the people around you know about it, rather than try and do all of these changes by yourself in secret and only let people see the amazing accomplishments at the end. Let people help you, as hard as that might be. Okay, number 2, your second way to make the most of your academic writing experience is to make it easy to do the thing that you want to do. So, as I mentioned previously, I am an easily distractible person. And I have just accepted now that I need to block Twitter for large sections of my day if I'm trying to write, or if I'm with a client, or if I'm editing or doing any sort of work that requires me to be focused at all. And I used to get really disappointed with myself. Like, what kind of person? I am getting a PhD. How dare I be unable to stop opening up Twitter? It seemed totally inconceivable. And it used to be something I was really critical about myself with, until I said, you know what? Twitter was designed to be distracting. Twitter was designed for me to get an instant sort of dopamine hit every time I get on there and there's something new to look at. It was built to reward me for being distracted. And so rather than spending all of my energy trying my best to open the tab of Twitter and then close it right away, why don't I just put something in my browser that says you can't open up Twitter until you uncheck this button? It's not about being lazy. It's about making it easy to do the thing I want to do. So if the thing that I want to do is really sit down and focus on my writing, then maybe that means I have to put my phone downstairs with the setting that says, you know, if somebody calls twice, it will ring, but otherwise it's on silent. And maybe I need to get in the habit of not checking my email until I finish my writing for the day, just to make it easy, because I know that if I open up that email, I'm going to see something and I'm going to start working on it, and it's going to be that much harder to get back into my writing groove. So it's not about punishing yourself. It's about saying, I can bowl without the bumpers, and it's going to require me to be that much more focused and driven and sort of disciplined. Or I could put the bumpers in, especially in the beginning, and say, you know what, I'm still learning how to do this writing everyday thing. I'm going to use the bumpers maybe forever, because bumpers make bowling more fun. This is said from a person who's a very bad bowler. But it's okay to put things that make it easier for you to do the things that you want to do. It's not cheating. It's not something that other people don't need to do. It's just about making it easy to put your focus where you want it. So that is strategy number 2. Strategy number 3 is put your progress where you can see it. Apologies for the scribble. So I don't know that very many of us have memories of being potty trained, but it's a common technique when you're potty training a toddler to put a chart on the wall that they can see. And every time they do their business in the way and location that they are meant to, in this new way of being, they get a sticker. And if they get a certain number of stickers, then usually there's a reward at the end, like a cool toy, or you get to go out to dinner, or whatever is very exciting to a potty training child. I don't remember it, and I have never potty trained one, but from what I understand, this is how it works. However, what's important to know there is that the reason is that's so motivating is otherwise it's so easy for that child to forget that this is something that they're doing that's new, that's hard, and that they deserve to have a sort of recognition of that. So anyone who has known me for a long time knows that I love stickers, and I will absolutely 100% make myself sticker charts for things that I'm trying to do, especially new habits, or when things are incredibly stressed and it takes a lot of effort for me to maintain old habits. I will make a chart in my bullet journal and I will put stickers on the page. Today, I was sharing that on Twitter, and somebody said that she makes an Excel sheet, and every time she fills out or she completes a poem, she just colors in a square in the chart. And I was like, genius. And also less expensive than stickers. So, but the thinking there is that if you can put your progress somewhere where you can see it, somewhere that's visible, instead of just throwing words into the void, maybe you make a chart and every day you write down your word count just to watch it grow. It's a small thing, but it's powerful. It's about taking what's really abstract. So much of academic writing happens alone and in isolation and in your head. So seeing those things, making that progress visible can be incredibly motivating. So that's why I included the reward category at the end of the goal setting sheet, is because I think it's important to give yourself something to look forward to. But I also think it's important to put your progress in a place where you can see it. Okay, the last thing, the last strategy is to celebrate. Cheer for others and cheer for yourself. So if you are a member of Thrive, PhD, you will know that I am a big, big believer of feeling good about the things that you're doing, even while you know that you're working to improve. Everybody has areas that they want to feel better about. Everybody has places that they know they could improve, they could work a little harder, but it is so easy to hyper focus on the what we're not doing yet, or the places that we wish we were doing differently or better or faster or stronger, and disregard all of the amazing things that we're already getting accomplished every day. So celebrate yourself however that feels natural to you, and maybe it doesn't. So maybe starting small and just saying yay internally to yourself every time you finish a goal can be a really helpful reframe than always focusing on what things aren't getting done. So if you meet your writing goal today, feel good about it. If you meet your writing goal tomorrow, feel good about it. There is no law that says celebrating along the way makes the accomplishment any less. As a person who has defended their dissertation and also celebrated every single tiny milestone along the way, I can promise you that it still feels good to get your diploma and to get a successful defense, even though you celebrated getting this chapter draft in and getting this citation found. If you let yourself feel good, you will let yourself feel good more often. And cheer for other people. It always feels good to be validated. It always feels good to be doing things in community. You know how hard it is to show up at your desk and write for 25 minutes. So if you're in a place where you're seeing somebody who's doing that same thing, cheer for them. Maybe they'll cheer for you. But the more that we as intellectuals and academic people celebrate the progress that we're making, rather than always focus on how things could be different or could be better, don't forget where we need to improve, but feel good about the work that's going into it. I think the more that we will be able to shift the culture away from punishment and into constructive, sustainable progress. So that is all I have for today's webinar. I have met almost my goal of keeping it around a half an hour because we're all busy people. But I would love for us to connect. So you can find me on Twitter at Katie Peplin Coach. My website is katiepeplin.com, and then I also have a blog for the graduate student community that I run, and more information about that at thrive-phd.com. I am more than happy to connect with you in any of those ways. I'm always open to DMs in our Slack channel. You can always email me at thrivephd@gmail.com. I'm pretty accessible. I'm super friendly. I try to be anyway. I'm a Hufflepuff. So I would love to support you in any way that feels good during this month. I'm so excited to have you join us. I'm so excited that you've taken this step to make your writing something that you're going to celebrate, something you're going to do with intention. And I can't wait to see how far we all come together this month. All right. So happy AcWriMo 2018. Happy November. And I'm sure that I'll be seeing you around soon. See you later.